Hey all, Zook here, back with part 15 of the all boss no damage route through Scholar of the First Sin. This one is going to have a few bosses that we take down by the end of it. We're starting here with the Looking Glass Knight, and then, as you can probably infer from the title, we'll finish up all the way at Velstadt. Now, for some reason, the start of the video cut off where I spawned at the bonfire, but as you can see, we already had the key to the King's Passage, so we just head in, use a Bright Bug and an Aromatic Ooze, and then pick up the Alluring Skulls on the right side before running in. You're going to want to run to where the Looking Glass Knight jumps, turn around, he'll walk to you, bait out an attack, and then you should try to poke him. I forget and bait out one more attack. And now he should enter this feedback loop where he does at least 3 of his lightning-based attacks before he resets the AI. So with the Bright Bug and the Magic, which he's actually weakest to Magic, you should be doing some decent damage. If he does this overhead slam, make sure that you kind of stagger your roll a little bit because he does have some insane tracking on it. His other really scary attack is if he brings his sword over to the wrong side of his body before swiping. Then that's another one that's pretty scary, and you really want to make sure that you learn the timing on those rolls. Now, you could have also grabbed, there are a couple of bonfire ascetics in that chest before we hop on this elevator. Those bonfire ascetics could be used to either farm Titanite chunks, if you want some free Titanite chunks from the Poison Pool bonfire, or if you wanted any extra casts of Soul Spear to be able to use if you're planning on doing sorcery for Amana. Then you can go to Huntsman's Copse and use some bonfire ascetics there. You'll see both of those strategies here coming up in some future videos. But yeah, so now we are going to Amana. I'm going to go ahead and grab the green blossom from behind that tree here. Then pick up this bonfire and head on down. Few undead aberrations that you want to shoot from up here. I always shoot them from up here, and then after I shoot, so there should be 3 of them, as you see. After I shoot them, I head down to the normal level before trying to shoot any of these knights. Just the knights have a weird running animation, and I personally find it a lot easier to shoot them when I'm on a flat surface as opposed to looking down at them. So the only real difference between this route and anything that you'd see in a normal no-hit run, the only difference is that because we don't have RTSR, we aren't able to two-shot these guys, which would be ideal. Aren't able to two-shot the knights. As you can see, we are able to two-shot the aberrations. But because we can't two-shot the knights, you really just want to make sure you're being careful about it, since 2 shots you can really get them before they've started moving, but 3 shots you are going to have to make sure that you're being careful as they start to run towards you. You'll see there's at least one of these knights who it ends up being a bit scary with. I believe it's this one. Yeah, because I miss him with that second one, so he starts to run. I get the second shot, but then miss that one. So, again, just kind of take your time, be careful on these ones. There's no good reason to take damage from them, but it happens all the time. And then as we're running through here, on the left there's a little alcove that does have a twinkling titanite in the chest. I'm just going to run on through. We get enough twinkling titanite in this route that we'll be fine. especially if you were able to pick up the 2 Twinkling Titanite from going to grab the DLC key. If you take the route where you head down and try to do that jump skip, then you will have already had 2 extra Twinkling Titanite at this point. But then we're just going to kind of run through. I grabbed that second bonfire in the area just because, and I feel like maybe I'm crazy, but I swear I've been invaded by Forlorn um, when I exit the house that is later on in this area. When you've exited that house, I know it doesn't show up on the wiki, but I've been invaded. Maybe it was just somebody who used a like forlorn gamer tag, and it was just some person trying to PvP, and I homered it out on them. I don't know, but it's happened before. But yeah, so and I'm gonna start to go through here. Before you step in the water, I kill this mage just because they can shoot at you as you run up to the pillar, and I actually forget to kill the mage that's far away. You'll see it comes back to bite me in a second. But I shoot this one, then I look up and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to kill that one. I hide behind the wall and try to strafe it, and that's exactly why you want to kill them from far away. Just they didn't lie about the homing part and homing soul arrow. Then we're just going to run through here. And I guess rather than narrate which enemies you want to target, because I mean you can just see that in the video, one thing that I do want to mention from back before with the Looking Glass Knight is that if you didn't want to use a bright bug for that fight, you don't really need to use a bright bug for it. And honestly, if I had realized that I had missed out on 3 bright bugs after beating Freya in this playthrough, if I had realized that I had 3 less bright bugs, I would have done the fight without a bright bug. Specifically because, I mean, yes, you want high damage output, but at this point in the game, because we've beaten all 4 of the Great Lords and we farmed the Rotten to +3, we have a lot of souls. So we have a lot of levels. Your damage output is just fine. Brightbug helps, obviously, because I mean, you saw we did Looking Glass Knight in 4 rotations, but you don't need the Brightbug. And as I kill these ones, I always kill the mage first, but they should aggro one at a time. The mage and this knight. So take them out one by one. And now these 2 knights will both aggro at the same time. Luckily, the healer doesn't actually aggro with them. So you can just focus on taking down the knights. And as long as you take down one of them before he's able to get close, then it really makes taking the other one down just a trivial job. So we're just going to kind of make our way through here. Light this bonfire just in case I die. I shouldn't die. There really isn't anything scary from this point on, but just kind of force of habit, honestly, I suppose. I do equip the fire bombs to take out this big guy. Sometimes if you get the angle right, then the splash damage will also take out this other bug. But then I'm going to take down the healer first while the mage still can't see me. So 2 shots will take out the healer, and then I focus on one knight in particular. you can kind of alternate the shots between the two knights, but I like to take out one in particular, and just take one down fully with the shield. Then you'll want to kill the mage, and if you do it properly, then the mage shouldn't really be able to get shots off. I accidentally delayed the shot for, no reason other than I just did. Now we're going to kill this guy through his shield so that he doesn't aggro to us when we're going to the Demon of Song. And there's going to be two mages that we also want to kill. The bug that's back there, you'll hear it, but it shouldn't be able to come up after you've exited the cave. Then, yeah, like I said, killing these two mages. And then I now equip the bow in the left hand. And then I also eat a green blossom before I run through. And if you wanted to use one of your dark pine resins, you can at this point if you want the extra damage on your rapier. But as we go through, we are going to do something that I actually don't see many people do this, but it actually makes this area a lot safer, this run up. So you roll through the door, but then close the door behind you. Because the Peculiar Kindler has to open up the door fully and can't roll through the door, it actually automatically just kind of has to come down here at a slower pace than you, as opposed to you sprinting down here as fast as you can. You still have to delay for opening and rolling through the door, whereas the Peculiar Kindler normally wouldn't have to delay if it's able to just sprint straight down. So, it just makes it a lot less sketchy. When we get into the boss arena, I start out with 6 shots just because I'm not really afraid of the long attack where the Demon of Song lunges all the way across the arena. If that attack frightens you, then just do 5 shots and then start to run up to it, or even 4 shots and run up to it. Just because when it's close, it's a lot less likely to dash all the way across the arena. But really, that dashing attack is the only one that you have to watch out for. And it's always prefaced by a small jump that the frog does. But now that we're here, I'm going to shoot up in the top left, cause this guy to turn around, and then I YOLO it with the rapier. As you can see, it's probably not the safest strat. You can either pepper him with arrows, or you'll see I have Hush as the 4th spell that's equipped right now, but if you had switched it to the Shockwave spell, then you can use Shockwave to beat down one of those Cyan Knights. And then pop the souls on the elevator ride. And again, you can see we don't have a bonfire ascetic at this point, but if you wanted to have bonfire ascetics from the Looking Glass Knight, then you wouldn't need to buy any from Cloanne, and you also wouldn't need to pick up the one that we do in this area. So just pointing that out because we are going to start to use the bonfire ascetic, so I wanted to make sure to reiterate where some of those items can be picked up. And then make sure that you light this bonfire after Aldia goes back down, because there's a very good chance that we might have to homeward back to this bonfire. So make sure that you light it, and you also want to make sure that Hush should actually be Shockwave. So the spells that you want attuned should be Fall Control, Yearn, Homeward, and Shockwave. And the one spot where you really want Shockwave, it'll save you about a minute or so, is this spot right here. Killing these Scion warriors, so much easier when you have Shockwave. Sadly, Shockwave doesn't work on the Imperious Knights. They're going to show up in this next area after we kill the Torch Hollow. I wish that they worked on this guy. And I know there is a way that you can actually, I want to say with the crossbow, you can actually hug up on this character model and actually get the crossbow to kind of go behind the shield so that you can shoot it. But really, it's not that scary. Just always assume that it's doing a 4-hit combo and punish at the end of a 4-hit combo. Or just use the bow. Then we're going to hug this back wall and shoot the first witch. We hug the back wall so that the second witch can't see us. And then slowly walk forward and shoot the second witch. And then I cast Yearn and have a Homeward Bone ready, just to double check about Scythe Forlorn. I have Homeward itself ready. As soon as I see that I'm safe, then I'm going to cast Yearn one more time so that this hollow doesn't hit me. And then we're just going to go talk to Agdain. And while we're here talking to him, we are going to just buy a whole bunch of dark arrows. So a few hundred dark arrows. I believe you end up using about 400 dark arrows. And then you also want to buy Soul Spear from him while you're here so that you have 3 total. By the time that we grab 2 of the Soul Spear cast from Huntsman's Copse and then this one that we buy from Agdain. And then we'll just go through the fog gate here. The only reason why you would take the long way around by dropping down is if you didn't want to risk RTSR while having to rest here and losing your RTSR setup is really the only reason why you would take that long setup down underneath. Since we aren't worried about that, I'm just going to rest here. You can equip Soul Appease if you wanted to, since I don't believe that we actually use Shockwave for the rest of this. And Soul Appease does work on the tiny hollows that we're going to want to kill before the lever. Kill this Lady Witch and then open up this chest. This is what I was talking about with a bonfire ascetic that you wouldn't need if you had picked it up after the Looking Glass Knight. The one nice thing about grabbing this bonfire ascetic is that it also has a Twinkling Titanite, which remember we are collecting those. I have the Homeward Bone out, and as soon as I get through this narrow corridor and I see that the bone hasn't grayed out, I know that we don't have a Forlorn. And then I actually mess up this strategy that's supposed to get the knight to turn. I shoot too low, and yeah, you can see it accidentally hits him. If you hit one of the knights, then you're going to have to just do this strategy that I do. Where you want to make sure that you kill both of the ghosts. And then just run up here and try to aggro. Hopefully you just get one of the knights chasing you at a time. Even if both of them are chasing you, you can kind of walk up to one of them and then quickly run away, similar to what you do with the ogre enemies. to try to bait out an attack. And just because the corridor is so small, for the most part, if you get the one in front doing an attack, then the second one can't move past him. So it gives you some time to kind of pepper them with arrows. Luckily, because I had backed up enough by the time that they aggroed, I'm able to deal with them one at a time. And if you haven't cast Fall Control yet, do that now, because we're going to drop down this hole after we bait out his attack. Drop down the hole and then go to your 10 o'clock. And there's the exit. There's a Pharaoh's Lockstone where I had just shifted the camera. Pharaoh's Contraption. Behind that contraption is Great Lightning Spear. I don't use it in this run, but if you're planning on doing a Miracles Dark Lurker strategy and you want Great Lightning Spear for it, this is where you get it. Or at least this is one of the two places. The other place actually being where we picked up the Witch Tree Catalysts. Now, these are the hollows that can be killed if you had Soul Appease, or just shoot them as I do. Shoot all three, and then you shouldn't have to worry about the Pyromancers spawning, meaning that you can run safely down the center. Otherwise, you can just run down one of the right sides. No big difference. And then for Velstadt, you 100% want to use a Bright Bug. This is one that you do not skimp on the Bright Bug. And then, yeah, also apply a Gold Pine Resin. Bait them to attack you, and then just run around the side so that the Dragon Rider can't hit you. Then head on through. Now, just a quick kind of Velstadt guide. If he one-hand swipes as he just did, there's a very good chance that he follows up a one-hand swipe with a return swipe. If he slams, then I roll forward to the right. Any sort of swipe, so whether it's one-handed swipe like you just saw there, or if it's a two-handed swipe, which we're going to see here in a sec, any swipe I roll forward to the left, if possible. If it's not possible because of where he's positioned on the wall, then, just roll backwards. If he does the one-handed swipe, he will follow that up I'd say maybe 2/3 of the time. If he does the two-handed swipe, I've seen him follow that up before, but it's so rare that I really wouldn't worry about it. Like, I've only seen him follow it up when you're actually standing directly in front of his character model. So as long as you're rolling past him, the two-handed swipe should be fine. And then just his fourth attack, the one where he jumps backwards and then pokes at you, that can just be strafed if you go to your right, his left, just away from the big hammer. But now that he's down, grab the King's Ring, bone back, and you can go to Shaded Ruins. Don't reset the area with a bonfire aesthetic yet for the extra chunks, just because you still have to come back to kill Vendrick. And with that, we will pick up this next video by checking out Aldia's life's work and taking on both the Guardian Dragon and Ancient Dragon. So I will catch you in the next one.